So my next question is, how have you found working for a US company versus a UK company? And what are the pros and cons of working for a US company?
American companies, they are really focused on including equity in there. I haven't really seen that very much in the UK for me personally. I find that it's more focused on just diversity and inclusion, but the equity side of things, not really a topic of conversation. I was working with young offenders, hoping to become a child psychotherapist. I was hoping to work with children, but it wasn't for me. I realized that I really am a creative person, and I needed something that would allow me to exercise that. But I still couldn't find that perfect role. I feel like a lot of people ask, I want to become a DevOps engineer, but don't necessarily understand what it is. So DevOps is a software development process, and it's an organizational culture, right? So
hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, I have the wonderful guest, Jennifer Opal, who works in DevOps, and she's going to tell us her amazing story of getting into tech and her experience within tech. So Jennifer, please introduce who you are and what you do.
Sure. So hi, my name is Jennifer Opal. I'm a DevOps engineer with HelloSign at Dropbox. I'm a neurodiversity and inclusion advocate, content creator, blogger, speaker, and was a YouTuber, but I've now stepped away from creating YouTube content. But I entered tech in 2019. Wow. It's been quite a journey in the last just over 2 years now. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here and to talk to you more about my journey, and hopefully give you some more information about DevOps as well.
Brilliant. So what is DevOps? What does it mean to work in DevOps?
Yeah, I think this is a really common question. I feel like a lot of people ask, I want to become a DevOps engineer, but don't necessarily understand what it is. So DevOps is a software development process, and it's an organizational culture, right? So what you're doing is that you are working towards improving the delivery of software through development, through automation within the organization that you're working for. So it's almost as if you're kind of bringing together development and IT operations to kind of bring it into one. That's kind of the simplest way I try and describe it. So some of the many common terms you might hear when you think DevOps, you hear about CI or CD pipelines. So it stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment. So with these, you're basically using various different tools and the programming languages, for example, Python, to automate these pipelines for the software development and software releases of what your company or organization is working towards, basically. So yeah, it involves it's. I think that a lot of people tend to think that it's a lot of. I find that it's more research and planning compared to coding. So it's more like 80%, 70% research and reading documentation and writing up documentation. And 30% is more like building the pieces of software, collaborating with your team, and creating and deploying these the software that you're creating. But it's also just a way of improving how things are delivered, so that at the end result, the customer is happy with what they're receiving, and they're able to use your product in the best way. And we're able to also, for example, if there's any issues with any pieces of software that have already been deployed, you're able to kind of have a more simpler and easier way to be able to fix those issues without having too much disruption to the customer as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of like a good way of trying to explain it without giving way too much information. Trying to catch the bullet points here.
It's interesting you said there's a lot of documentation involved, and also I picked up on it's sort of the combination between development and operations team. So what is it that's different about the teams that they needed to be brought together?
I think it just helps in terms of communication. So you'd have previously, I believe how it was that you had software engineers here,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had a separate team for operations. For example, let's say software testers, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just give that as an example.
Yeah.
And you would find that maybe the software engineers will create something, it works for them,
Mm-hmm.
but then it'll be moved on to another team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really communicating with the software engineers, but they have a piece of software. They have to now test it and see if it works well and if it's doing what it's supposed to do. And then they find, oh, something's not working here, then it's kind of being sent back. And then it's just about trying to find ways of integrating all of us together so that you're able to ensure that whatever it is that you're working on, it works perfectly. It works best as it can. The software is of a good quality for it to be deployed to the customer, and that it's ready for use, so that there's no issues in terms of like there's no bumps in the road, basically. So you might be familiar with how can I explain it? You might be familiar with software development, quality engineering, or security, IT operations. It's kind of like a combination of all of that in one.
Yeah.
But then having a software engineer separated from the operations and separated from security, you're kind of all working together to ensure that every area of the DevOps lifecycle is done and it's done right.
Okay.
So it's quite, I think that's the best way I can try and describe that. Yeah.
So I understand it as you're sort of a multifaceted engineer. So you're working with clients, you're working on the code, you're working on testing, and you're working on documentation. So it's really sort of showing a multiple skill set, which I assume requires you to have very good communication skills. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So my next question is, how have you found working for a US company versus a UK company, and what are the pros and cons of working for a US company?
I'll definitely say that it's different for everybody. This is the first time I've worked for a US company. My apologies for that. This is the first time I've worked for a US company, and I found that what it was for me, it was the culture. I find that a lot of UK companies that I've come across, the culture is really quite different to how it is in the US. So it would be, for example, when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, I find that with American companies, they are really focused on including equity in there. I haven't really seen that very much in the UK, for me personally. I find that it's more focused on just diversity and inclusion, but the equity side of things, not really a topic of conversation. I think it's pretty much common knowledge that the salaries for US companies are much higher compared to those in the UK. So I find that, you can find a really good company that has the right culture, that it's not just giving a diversity and inclusion statement, saying, this is what we're going to be doing, this is what we're aiming for. But you're able to see it in how they work. You're able to see it in how can I put it? Sorry, I'm neurodivergent as well, because sometimes I have to try and think of what I'm trying to say. So it's like they really push on ensuring that whatever they've committed to doing is integrated into the culture of the environment that you're working in. So something as simple as pronouns, for example, you're able to go into a Zoom call. Everyone has their pronouns. It's like it just becomes part of the culture. It's not like, oh, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. You're practicing inclusivity within the team, within the organization, and you're able to see it in some things that are probably small for some, but different for others. So I find that for me, I don't think that, from my experience of now working in a US company, I don't think I would work for a UK company, because I believe it depends on the culture. The culture has to be right. So if there's no receipts for your diversity and inclusion, then I don't know what to tell you. But that's how it's been for me. It's been fantastic, working here with the HelloSign team at Dropbox. So very much a culture that I've been looking for.
Wow, well, you've really sold Dropbox there. You really have. I'm going to have to tag them in the video. Like, your employee has spoken very highly of you, and that's really great to hear. And also your energy and charisma, and me following your tweets as well. I can definitely tell this work culture has cultivated you to feel a lot happier and feel really good with the job you're doing. So I'm really happy that you found a safe space to develop your career as a Black woman in DevOps. So I'm really happy about that. Are there any cons to working for a US company?
The time zone. I would say it's the time zone. So majority of my team are scattered across the US, right? So in California, Portland, I believe, LA, San Francisco, I think, I don't even know. I'm so bad at that locations. But they're scattered. They're scattered across the US, right? So 8 a.m. in California, for example, is 4 p.m. here.
Oh.
So if you're not a night owl, you're probably going to have a problem with that. So it'll be really difficult in terms of collaboration because of the different time zones. You may find yourself at times, if you're not completely confident in what you've got to do, you may find yourself not being able to collaborate with anybody because of the fact that they're likely asleep while you are ready to start work. So I think that's the downside of it at the moment from what I've discovered. It's just the time zone. But it's great that, you know, depending on the companies, a lot, like for me, I would say that they're very understanding and very flexible, you know. So understand that, you know, the standard hours, you're working 8-hour days, things like that. But if I'm able to get my work done, or if it's getting a bit late, there's no harm in me just signing out for the day and continuing the next day. But just to, you know, make sure that I fulfill the task that I'm supposed to do and to just get that done. That's the priority of it all. And they really push for you to have that work-life balance as well. That's hugely important. So yeah, I think that's the major thing. Time zone.
Okay, I'm really excited now. I now want to work for a US company. I've heard some cons though, that apparently, I don't know if this is the case for you, where they don't have as many holidays, i.e. they don't have the UK bank holidays, and I'm not sure if you get double taxed as well, but I don't know if that is the case for you, or that could be a case for another US company based in the UK.
It depends if the company has, I don't know what the actual word is for this, but if they have, I guess, the rights or jurisdiction, I don't know, to be able to employ people from the UK, they can hire you as a UK employee, which means that you'd be protected by UK laws.
Okay.
So if there is a bank holiday in the UK, I can take it off, right? I still get my I think it's 28 days or 25 days holiday per year by UK employment law, so I'm still protected by that. So I guess it depends. I'm taken on as a full-time employee. I'm not working as a contractor, so I'm not sure if that's why it's different. But if you're taken on as a UK employee, you're protected by UK laws, so you get to take the UK days off, and I don't think you could take the US days off, but you know, I can always ask.
It's worth a try, and they're probably off on those days anyway.
Yeah, but because even for example, the spring bank holiday here in the UK was the same day as the US Memorial Day, I think, or Labor Day, one of those 2 days. So we both ended up having the day off, but I'm not sure about any other holidays that come up later on in the year, and whether it will kind of clash with me, but yeah.
Okay, so in a nutshell, everyone who wants to work in tech and earn good money, have a good work culture as a Black woman, sign up to Dropbox.
Definitely. I definitely, honestly, like, you know, if Dropbox wasn't a good place to work at, I would have said. I'm the type of person where if I have something positive to say, I'll say it. If I have nothing positive to say, I just won't speak about it.
Yeah,
right? So for me, it's like, I would rather say, look, this is the company that you're walking into. This is the culture that it's like, and this is what you may expect. So I'm letting you in. I'm letting you know what's going to happen. But I can never say to someone, if, for example, I'm working in a really bad environment, I can never say, oh, come and join, you'll be absolutely fine, you're not going to have any problems here. That would be me being so fraudulent, and I'd feel so guilty, because it'd be like, wow, like, I know that I'm working in an environment that isn't healthy. So for me to tell someone, especially another Black woman, a Black femme, a Black non-binary, and saying them, hey, come and work here, you're going to be absolutely fine, I promise. And then they end up having a difficult working environment being here. I can't be that person. And I think that from the work that I do in terms of advocating for inclusion and speaking about my experience and being blunt about it in an educational way, but I'm blunt about it, I can't not be honest. I have to be honest about it. And I think that from me being honest about it is how I've been able to kind of build the community, build the following that I have, where people understand and respect my opinion on things. And that's how I've been able to, I think, even receive recognition for my work, is because I'm not afraid to say, this is my experience as a Black cis-het neurodivergent woman in a tech space, and I have to be honest about it, because you may not know that this is a problem, but at least then you see that this is the issue and this is what we need to do. You need to find someone that can help you fix it. I can't help you fix it. I can only highlight the issue. And you have to find out what you can do and reach out to people that, you know, do this for a living, to be able to actually fix the problem, so that the next Black person, the next Black femme, the next Black non-binary that comes in, you know, to this working environment, you have that in the back of your mind to know they might end up experiencing this. Let me make sure that I have an environment that's safe for them to be themselves, and that's safe for them to work, and they're able to actually do the job as best they can while working here.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I think your integrity and honesty is what sort of earned you respect and trusted followers. So it's good to see that. At least I know when you're talking, yes, you might want to secure the bag or whatever, but I know you're doing it from the heart, and that you actually mean it, and you're actually doing it in our best interest. Brilliant. So I would like you to talk about your journey from high school into tech.
Yeah, what a journey. So I guess high school, you know, GCSEs, I was a very creative person. So I did art, textiles, business with applied French, music and French language. And then I went on to sixth form, and I started my A-levels, but I was only there for a few months, unfortunately, because I ended up in a situation where we were being made homeless.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, I had to drop out of sixth form at that time. So while we were sorting that out, the following year I went back to sixth form again, and I studied creative media, a creative media diploma, and I did music technology. Didn't do well with either of them. I think I got like a D and an E. I don't even remember anymore. And then from there, the journey was quite rocky, because I genuinely didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went straight to uni. I went to University of Bedfordshire. I was there for about 3 months, and then I dropped out again. I was studying advertising, and then went into full-time work. And I was working. Where did I work? I think I worked at Waitrose at one point. I think I worked in a restaurant as a hostess. Then I was all over, and then went back to uni again to study French and international law, because I thought that's what I wanted to do. Dropped out after a month. And then went back into full-time work, and then the following year again went back to uni, but I decided to study counselling and counselling skills, and I did a certificate in that.
Okay.
So we got introduced to psychodynamic therapy and cognitive behavioural therapy, and I graduated with a certificate, and I was working with young offenders, hoping to become a child psychotherapist. I was hoping to work with children, but it wasn't for me. You know, I realized that I really am a creative person, and I needed something that would allow me to exercise that, but I still couldn't find that that was the perfect role for me.
Yeah.
So after about the following year after I graduated, I went back to uni again and studied business studies and French. And it was during that course I realized that I kind of went in the wrong way. I went into this degree thinking I'm going to do the degree and then find something that I want to do while doing the degree. Whereas it's supposed to be the other way around, right? You go, you're supposed to know what you want to do and then go and find the course for it. But I did it the other way around. And once I had got to second year, that's when I got introduced to coding, where Code First Girls were offering free coding courses. So I think they still do the free. They still do the free coding courses. It's 8 weeks long, once a week, to front end web development, and that changed everything. That was the moment where I realized this is what I want to do. Then the following year, they collaborated with a major telecommunications company here in the UK, and they were offering a free full-time coding program for women and non-binaries to learn how to code for free. And I got onto the program, and at the end of the program, which was about 4 months long, they would offer an opportunity for a job as a junior software engineer. I had to balance a full-time course with my degree because I didn't know if I was going to get a job, right? So I had to go Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, doing this course. And then in the evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I was going to uni.
That's crazy.
For about 3 or 4 nights a week. But I realized, I noticed that my passion, I was becoming a bit more dedicated to the course rather than the degree. So then I started to not do well in my degree. But once I got offered the job, changed everything, and I decided to drop out of university. I took the job, I left London, I moved to Belfast in Northern Ireland and stayed out there for 2 years, and I literally came back this year, back to England. Not sure how long I'll be here, but you know, working as a fully remote DevOps engineer, you kind of have the world as your oyster. So hopefully once things ease up, I can travel a little bit, but that's kind of my journey there.
That is an incredible journey. That's amazing. You went from doing, what was it, French and music, was it, in A levels, to going to uni to do counselling, and then you changed your degree again, and then you dropped out, and here we are.
We are.
A US-based company in America, living your best life. I love it.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm really excited. Like, your energy is just, I don't know what Dropbox have given you, but the energy they've given you is just translating through. I hope everyone else who watches this feels the same vibe, because I'm like, I don't know what she's on, but I want some of that. So.
I'm always I've always just been this naturally positive person. If I'm miserable, I'm very miserable. But it's just how I am. I think even if you see me day to day, I'm just always really energetic. It's just my personality. I'm just like my mum in that way.
So last question is, what advice would you give to women considering a career in tech?
Yeah, I would say first thing is do some research into the type of roles you want, right? I think that, you know, for example, with DevOps, for example, I think that some people may have an idea of what they think it is, but it may not necessarily be what they think it is, right? So look into it. Look at what's involved. Look at what it means, and decide whether that is for you. And you may not also there are roles where you don't necessarily need to code, right? Ask yourself, do I want to code? Do I want to learn how to code, or do I just not want to code? Do I want to do something completely different? Do I want to work on the business side of things? Do I want to work on the security side of things? Do I want to be coding every day and building pieces of software, or do I just want to be managing these projects, for example, and being able to explain what we've done to the end client, to the end customer, right? So look into the roles, Google, research, YouTube, do all of that before you buy any courses, before you sign up for anything, before you message anyone. Your research first. And then from there, I would say once you are really sure of what you want to do, go and sign up for some courses. So if you're in the UK, Code First Girls is a really, really good organization. It's where I got my intro, so I highly recommend to go for that. Apply for their courses. They don't just do front-end web development, they also do intro courses to SQL, databases. I think there's another one, but I've completely forgot what it was. And just, go for it. Understand what it is. You're not expected to know everything. So this is an intro course, right? So you're just going in to learn. And that's what they're not expecting you to know anything straight away, right? Once you've done that, then narrow it down and try and look at, whether I need to create a portfolio, whether I can blog my journey on LinkedIn. I would encourage using LinkedIn to blog your coding journey. I did use Instagram, but I think that if you want to reach an audience, especially in different companies, try and leverage your LinkedIn profile and share what you've built, share the finished products that you've built, share research that you've done, whether you want to work in big data, whether you want to do project management, whether you want to do data analysis, software engineering, augmented reality. There's so many avenues. Just share it on LinkedIn. Let people see what it is you're doing. You never know who might see that, and you never know who's going to want to give you an opportunity. So put yourself out there. For me, for example, sharing my experience of being a Black woman in tech was how I was able to connect with so many people in the tech space, and also get opportunities for job interviews. And also even my current job, it definitely helped in terms of getting that opportunity as well for the interview. So I would highly encourage doing that. And lastly as well, I would say connect with the tech community. Don't code on your own. Don't learn all these things on your own. Connect with the community. There's code Black females, women in tech. There's women who code. There's, I think, lesbians who code. I'm trying to think what else there is.
On Twitter, you could just put Black Tech Twitter.
Even the hashtag Black Tech Twitter, 100%, and hashtag women who code, hashtag women in tech. There's so many. Connect with people, follow them, engage with them. Feel free to ask questions, and don't be disheartened if no one replies to you. We get questions all the time, trust me. So because of that, sometimes it can be quite overwhelming for many. And especially the current circumstances, everyone's prioritizing their mental health. So if one person doesn't reply to you, don't take it personally. Feel free to ask somebody else. And just be sure that you're asking specific questions. Don't just ask, how do I get into tech? Break that down, because that's a really big question. But break that down and ask that properly. What I say, for example, I want to become a UX designer. I want to become a product designer. I see that you've done that. Do you have any advice on what I could do in terms of getting my first opportunity? Boom, that's your question. So think about that. But definitely connect with communities as well. It offers so much support.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So guys, that brings us to the end of our interview. We saw that she absolutely loves working for Dropbox. So guys, you apply for Dropbox. And also her very unconventional way into tech, sort of her long journey of discovery of what she wanted to do. And that's really important, because I feel like a lot of us don't actually know what we want to do, but more so we find out throughout the process or through the journey. So but don't be disheartened if you don't know what to do. It'll all come, it all works out in the end, I always say. And I'm excited to continue to follow Jennifer in her journey as a Black woman in DevOps, as she continues to advocate for Black women, and also for neurodivergent women who are looking to break into the tech space. So I will add her details to the bottom of this YouTube video. But yes, guys, as you can see, she's amazing. And I hope you guys felt the energy that I did as well. So, that brings us to an end, and I'd like to say goodbye to my guests. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for agreeing to be a guest on my channel.
Thanks for having me. Bye.